Teacher Mike here. In this video, we're going to start to learn about Africa. So let's look at a world map and so that we can find where it is. And we will start by singing our continent song. So I moved my video a little bit so you can see the continents now. This is a map of the whole world. So this is a flat map. The world is really a sphere that's 3 dimensions. But this is a flat map. Sometimes people use flat maps to help us understand where things are in the world. So let's look at this map and we will sing our 7 continent song. Help me sing it. 1, 2, 3. 7 continents, 7 continents, 7 continents in the world. North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa. Don't forget Australia. Don't forget Antarctica. 7 continents, 7 continents, 7 continents in the world. So now we're going to start looking at Africa. And Africa is right here. It's this green continent. And as you can tell, based on this map, it is very big. Africa is the 2nd biggest continent in the world. And it is super cool. It's one of my favorite continents. There's so many different things about it. There's so many people who live there. There's so many animals. There's so much history. Africa is awesome. So to learn about Africa, we're going to start by reading a book about Africa. So let me pull it up. Here it is. Voila. This is called Africa by Emily Rose Oakes. So here's our table of contents, and this lists the things we're going to learn. We're going to learn home of early humans. People lived in Africa. It's where all of us come from. Where is Africa? So we'll learn where it is. The land and the climate. So the land is what the biomes are like, and the climate is like what the weather is like. The plants and the animals, the people, fast facts about Africa, and then a glossary, which will give us some more terms that we might want to learn. So let's check out this book. Ooh, let me make my video a little smaller. There we go. Home of early humans. Humans have lived in Africa for thousands of years. Scientists have found bones about 200,000 years old on the continent. Whoa, 200,000 years. That is amazing. And here's a picture of the Egyptian pyramids and some camels. So these pyramids are in Egypt. They're on the northern part, the top part of Africa, and these pyramids were built several thousand years ago and they are still standing. Pretty cool. Let's see what this says. Did you know Africa has the world's largest hot desert? The Sahara, that's the desert, the Sahara is about the same size as the United States. So our entire country, if it was turned into a desert and moved to Africa, that's how big the Sahara Desert is. It is gigantic, huge desert, biggest desert, hot desert in the world. Amazing. Africa's Nile, the Nile is a river. Africa's Nile River is the world's longest river. And here's a picture of the Nile River. So the Nile River is the longest river in the world. So I told you Africa's big, biggest desert, longest river. It's amazing. As many as 2,000 languages are spoken in Africa. Whoa. So English is one language. That's a language that a lot of us speak. Another language is Spanish, for example. Another language is Mandarin. There's lots of languages in the world. And in Africa, they have 2,000 languages. That is so cool. Africa is the only continent where giraffes, hippos, ostriches, and lemurs live in the wild. So in the wild means not in zoos. It means they live in the natural environment. So if you want to see a giraffe or a hippo or an ostrich or a lemur in the wild, you have to go to Africa. And you can go to Africa and go on a safari. Can you say safari? Safari is when you go looking for animals, and it's pretty cool. So let's keep reading this book. Today, people live in the ancient I read the wrong word. Let me try again. Today, people visit the ancient pyramids in Egypt. Victoria Falls is another famous landmark. A landmark is something that is a spot where people can go, and it's very famous. So these pyramids are a landmark. This beautiful waterfall. I'm jumping around too much. So Victoria Falls is another famous landmark. This beautiful waterfall flows in Zambia and Zimbabwe. So the Victoria Falls is one of the largest waterfalls in the world, and we'll see a picture of it in a little bit. So let's keep going. Where is Africa? Here's Africa right here, and these dashed lines are this horizontal line is the equator, and this vertical line is the prime meridian, okay? And these lines don't really exist. They're not really written on the planet. They're just lines that humans have devised so that we can kind of split up the world. So the equator is right in the center, okay? So the Mediterranean Sea and the Asia border northern Africa. Eastern Africa touches the Indian Ocean, so this is the Indian Ocean over here, and the Atlantic Ocean lies to the west. The Atlantic Ocean is on this side. The prime meridian, the vertical line, and the equator, the horizontal line, cross Africa. This puts the continent in all 4 hemispheres. Whoa. The land and climate. Africa's lands are often hot year-round. Why do you think it's often hot? Go back to the map. If we're looking at this map, why is it so hot? It's because it's right here on the equator. The equator is the hottest part of the planet, right? Because it's the part that faces the sun the most. So this is the hottest part, this line right here. Let's go back. Africa's lands are often hot year-round. One area is the steamy Congo rainforest. It lies near the equator. So this picture is of the Congo rainforest, and here's some people hiking in it. So rainforest is where there's lots of heat, which evaporates the water. So the water makes clouds, the clouds rain down. So there's lots of water to rain down, which helps the plants to grow. Lots of plants, as you can see in this picture. Lots of plants means lots of animals. So over here it says, the Sahara Desert stretches across northern Africa. So this red area is the Sahara Desert. That is the huge hot desert that we were talking about earlier. So this is the huge hot desert, the Sahara Desert. And then the Kalahari Desert is this yellow desert down here. And the Namib down here, this desert here, this small orange one, deserts are in southern Africa. So this is a picture of Africa, and these are the biomes. This is a desert, Sahara Desert. This green area is like grasslands. This blue area is the rainforest, and this yellow and orange area are deserts too. So Africa is a lot of grasslands, a lot of desert, and some rainforest as well. Africa has large savannas. Savanna is another word for grassland. These grasslands have rainy seasons and dry seasons. The most famous example is in the Serengeti in Eastern Africa. So this orange area right here, that's the Serengeti grassland. So they have rainy seasons where it just rains almost constantly, and then that whole area gets flooded, and there's lots of puddles and ponds and marshy, wet. If you were walking there, you'd be stepping in mud puddles and water puddles all over the place. So the animals love it because they get to go drink all that water, and all that water helps like grass to grow and plants to grow. So there's lots of plants to eat. So animals love the rainy season. And then there's the rainy season, and then there's the dry season. And the dry season is when there doesn't rain for a really long time. So if there's no rain for a really long time, all the water gets drank up or it flows away, and then it turns kind of sandy and dirty. There's fewer plants to eat. So the animals leave. They migrate. They go somewhere else. So they go to whichever area has water and plants. And they go and they eat the plants and they drink the water. And then when those plants have been eaten and the water kind of dissipates, then they go somewhere else. So they follow where they can get food and water. And here's a picture of Lake Victoria. The shores of Lake Victoria sit west of the Serengeti. This is Africa's largest lake. The plants and animals. Orchids bloom in the rainforest. Look at this orchid. That's beautiful. Those are cool spots. There, vines stretch between okome trees. Here are some okome trees. Very cool. Tall grasses grow on the savannas. Hibiscus flowers blossom there. This is a hibiscus flower. And some people like to take the little parts of the hibiscus flower once it's done with it and make tea. And you make hibiscus tea. It's very nice. Shrubs and acacia trees dot the landscape. Few plants grow in Africa's deserts. So this is the savanna, which is kind of like grasslands and some trees. These are acacia trees. And I think some goats like to climb these trees. They can jump up here, which is pretty neat. Here's some animals. Gorillas and chimpanzees play in Africa's rainforest. Scorpions dart across desert sands. On the savannas, lions and cheetahs hunt zebras. Ooh. Millions of wildebeests live on the Serengeti. Every year, they migrate in search of food and water. So we got wildebeests right here. This guy's looking right at us. Hello, wildebeest. And then we have a chimpanzee and a scorpion and a zebra and then also a lion. And we know it's a boy lion because it has this shaggy mane of hair. The female lions do not have that. So it says every year these animals migrate. So migrate is what I was talking about earlier, where they follow their food and water. So they move. It'd be like if we migrated, it'd be like us leaving California and going to New York during the wintertime and then coming back to California in the summertime. Be moving where we live throughout the year. So the animals do that. It's called migrate. The people. Cool. Many people call Africa home. More than 1 billion people live there. Only the continent of Asia has a larger population. So Africa has the second most people of any continent. 1 billion people. Wow. There are 54 countries in Africa. Some of them are islands. So these are all of the countries. There are so many. There are 54. That is a lot. And these islands over here are part of Africa as well. And this big island is called Madagascar. Go like this if you've ever heard of Madagascar. Some of you may have heard of it because they made a movie for kids about Madagascar, some animals that go there. So this is Madagascar. It's part of Africa. Many Africans are moving from the countryside into cities like Lagos. It is a sign of a growing and changing continent. Lagos, Nigeria, is Africa's largest city. More than 21 million people live there. It's one of the world's fastest growing cities. So here's some pictures of Lagos. 21 million people live there, and 5 million people live in the Bay Area. That's like Oakland and San Francisco. Together, it's 5 million people. Lagos has 21 million. So Lagos is 4 times bigger than the Bay Area. Tons of people. Very neat. And it's fast growing, so more and more people are moving there. They like living there. And then here are just some fast facts about Africa. It says there are 11,700,000 square miles. It is the second largest continent. There are 54 countries. Algeria is the biggest country. It's right here. This blue area is the biggest country. The smallest country is called Seychelles, and it is this island right here, tiny island. There are 1.2 billion people, and the place with the most people is Lagos in Nigeria, which is right here, this yellow dot. That's where that city is. All right, and then here are some pictures of some top landmarks. So landmarks are famous places that people like to photograph, and they're places that people like to go. So these are 4 famous ones. We have the Pyramids of Giza, the Valley of the Kings, Mount Kilimanjaro, and Victoria Falls. So these two, Victoria Falls and Mount Kilimanjaro, are natural landmarks. Mount Kilimanjaro is a giant mountain, and Victoria Falls is a giant waterfall. It's one of the biggest waterfalls in the world. These are natural. And then these, Pyramids of Giza and the Valley of the Kings, are man-made landmarks. So people built the pyramids, and people built the Valley of the Kings. So I want to show you some more pictures of these landmarks. We're going to start off with Victoria Falls. So this giant waterfall. Here it is. This is the giant waterfall, Victoria Falls. It is so, so, so big. It is one of the biggest waterfalls in the whole world. And you can go look at it. You can go look at that water. It's so much. Oh my gosh. It's amazing. It's very, 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 very wide and quite tall, but it's very, 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 very wide. Okay. And then here is a picture of the Valley of the Kings. This is the outside of it. And so there's this valley. A valley is a short area between two mountains. So there's these mountains back here. And then down at the bottom of the mountains, some people built this building into the walls. So they chiseled away at the rock and they built these stairs and they built these rooms. And we're going to go inside. Here is a picture of what the Valley of the Kings looks like inside. And there's these cool hieroglyphics, which are drawings that people used to write. So before people had letters to write things down, they would write them down with pictures to tell stories. So you can go here and walk down these stairs and check out these hieroglyphics in real life. So that's the Valley of the Kings. And then this is one of the pyramids of Giza. And look how big it is. It's gigantic. These are people right here. See this? This is a person. And then if they're looking up, they have to look up, all the way up here. It is so big. The pyramids of Giza are gigantic. So big. Very impressive. And here's another picture of the pyramids. And these people are trying to sit on them. See that? This guy's sitting right here. Look how small he looks compared to how big this pyramid is. And then here is Mount Kilimanjaro. So this right here, down here, this is like the grasslands, the savanna area, where these elephants are hanging out. They're eating some grass. They're hanging out with these acacia trees. And then in the background, you can see Mount Kilimanjaro. And on the top, it's snowy because the higher up you go, the colder the air gets. So when the air is really cold, you can have snow and ice up here. And one very cool thing about Mount Kilimanjaro is that you can hike all the way from the bottom all the way to the top. And a lot of people hike it at night. That way, when they get to the very tip top of Mount Kilimanjaro, they can see the sunrise. So I'm going to show you some pictures of that. So here are some people who are hiking up Mount Kilimanjaro. They're coming towards us. So towards us is towards the peak, the top of the mountain. You can see this white stuff back here. You might think it's the ocean or something or water, but it's not. It's clouds. Mount Kilimanjaro, the top is above the clouds. So you hike through the clouds and then you're higher than the clouds are. And here's a picture of the sun rising from the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. So this is someone was standing on top of Mount Kilimanjaro. They took a photo of the sun rising. Look at all those colors. It is beautiful. We have another picture of the sun rising. So you can see some of the snow over here. And the sky is purple and pink and blue and yellow and green. That's really neat. And then I'm going to show you one more picture. And here's another picture of the sun rising. This is like a cloud. Like the clouds got a little bit higher this day. So the sun is dissipated through the clouds a little bit. But you can see the sun. And you see the snow up here on the top of the Mount Kilimanjaro. So these people hiked to the top of it and they watched the sunrise. So everybody, here's back to our world map. So that's some information about Africa. And this is where Africa is. And we're going to learn about Africa for a little while. I hope you enjoyed this video. And after you're done, think to yourself, would you rather go to the pyramids, the Valley of the Kings, Victoria Falls, or Mount Kilimanjaro? Okay, so the pyramids were those gigantic pyramids you could go check out. There's the Valley of the Kings, that really old building carved into the rock face. So you can go inside where they have pictographs. You could go to Victoria Falls, one of the largest waterfalls in the whole world. It's a very wide waterfall. Or Mount Kilimanjaro, where you can hike to the top and watch the sunset. Just think about it. Which one would you want to do? It might be fun. All right. Well, that's the end of my video, everybody. I hope you have a lovely day. Bye-bye.